Chapter 11. I took a step back. My heart was pounding. I knew I shouldn't be doing this. Why did I listen to Robbie? I guess I wanted him to like me. Nothing happened for a few seconds. Then the robot blinked his eyes. His mouth twitched. He turned his head and stared hard at me, as if booting up his memory, trying to remember me. Wow, he moves, Robbie said. Of course I move, Frank replied in his soft whisper of a voice. Robbie and I burst out laughing. I'm not sure why. I guess we both were nervous. Frank stretched his arms over his head. He tilted his head from side to side, as if stretching his neck. He was like a human waking up. Robbie stood next to me. He didn't talk. He just stared at the robot as he came to life. Frank finally took his eyes off me. How are you, Robbie? He asked. Hey, I said to Robbie. You told me you've never been in Uncle's lab. How does Frank know your name? Robbie's cheeks turned pink. He probably heard your uncle phone me to come over here and keep you company. I turned back to Frank. Is that true? I asked. How do you know Robbie's name? The robot's shoulders moved up and down as if it was shrugging. I have many names in my memory bank. My face recognition system works with my memory cells. I didn't really understand the answer. My heart was still beating hard. I wanted to switch the robot off before Uncle Victor came back. He seemed nice now and calm, but I remembered how Frank got violent for no reason at all. Frank, can you show us around the lab? Robbie asked. Frank nodded. Yes, I can give you both a short tour. What would you like to see? No, I said, stepping between Robbie and Frank. I think we have to stop right now, Robbie. Just a few more minutes, Robbie said. I want to see. I can heat up some chemicals and give you a really big surprise, Frank said. His eyes blinked rapidly. No way, I cried. I mean, not now, Frank. Robbie and I have to go. Uncle Victor will be home soon, I think. Robbie laughed. Kat, why are you so stressed? Frank wants to show us what he can do with chemicals. I scowled at Robbie. You said we turn him off. You said we turn him on for just a few seconds. I don't think this is right. Okay, Robbie muttered, raising both hands like he was surrendering. You can show us your tricks with chemicals. Later, Frank, I said. I reached for Frank's arm to click off the power switch, but he ducked to the side. I gasped in surprise. He moved so quickly. I made another grab for his arm, but he slid out of my grasp, and then he took off, running to the open lab door. Hey, stop! I screamed. The robot's shoes pounded the hard lab floor. He ran with amazing speed. Robbie and I ran after him. Stop! I screamed again. Frank, stop! Stop! Chapter 12. The robot darted through the open doorway and slammed the door behind him. Were we locked in? No. I grabbed the handle and pushed the door open. Frank was halfway down the long hallway, running hard. Get him! I cried to Robbie. We both squeezed through the doorway at the same time and began to run side by side down the hall. Frank, come back! Frank! My shout came out hoarse and frightened. The robot paid no attention. He dove around a corner and disappeared from view. I tripped over a hole in the carpet and stumbled into the wall. Robbie stopped to grab my arm and pull me back to my feet. He's getting away, I stammered. Uncle Victor will be furious. He won't get far, Robbie said. We both started to run again. Past room after room. I saw a mouse staring, perched on a bed in an empty guest house. Window blinds rattled in front of an open window. In the next empty room, Robbie and I turned the corner. I squinted into the dim light down the hallway. Oh no, I moaned. Where is he? Where? No sign of Frank. Robbie pointed to the row of doors along the right side of the hall. He must be hiding in one of those rooms. But why? I cried. Just to get me in trouble? Maybe he wants his freedom, Robbie said. He gave me a gentle push. Come on, start searching. We ran to the first room. The door was closed. I pulled it open and peered inside. I saw cardboard cartons piled to the ceiling. Several boxes marked fragile. No Frank. Robbie was already on his way to the next room. I saw him stop. His eyes gazed down the hall. He pointed. Kat, look. At the end of the hall, I saw the front door to the house. Frank stood at the front door, struggling with the lock. He's trying to get out, I gasped. Stop him. Robbie and I took off, running as hard as we could. Frank turned and saw us coming. He fiddled frantically with the door. I heard him snap the lock. He grabbed the handle and pulled the door open. No! I cried. Frank, stop! Frank, don't go outside! I ran past Robbie. I was so close to Frank. I took a deep breath, stretched out my hands to grab him, and dove to tackle him. I let out a scream as I tripped. No, something tripped me. My head swung around as I went down. I saw Poochie at my feet. I tripped over Poochie. I landed hard on my elbows and knees and stared helplessly at the robot as the robot hurried out the front door. Chapter 13. Robbie reached the door first and darted outside. I pulled myself to my feet, stepped around Poochie, and followed him. Frank was running across the front lawn, heading toward the gate. Robbie ran after him. Where are you going? I screamed at Frank. Please, stop. Don't go to the village. I'm warning you, Frank. Don't go to the village. He'll terrify the villagers if he shows up there, I thought. What will the frightened villagers do to him? Frank was nearly to the front gate. Robbie and I were running hard, leaning forward, arms outstretched, but I could see we weren't going to catch him. Then I heard a heavy thud of footsteps behind us. Startled, I swung my head around and saw the 2 guard dogs galloping after us. Their heads were lowered, mouths open, and angry snarls, teeth bared, ready to pounce. Up ahead of us, Frank stopped. He turned to the dogs. I could see his eyes go wide. Look, Frank is afraid of the dogs, I said to Robbie. The robot stood frozen as the dogs came charging across the lawn. I stepped up to Frank, raised his arms, found the switch in his armpit, and clicked him off. The body went stiff, his eyelids shut. The dogs barked excitedly as they prepared to attack. Robbie, I cried. The whistle! Blow the whistle! Hurry! Robbie reached around his neck, then uttered a gasp. I don't have it, Cat. You took it, remember? Oh no. Oh no! I don't have it, I stammered. It's up in my room. We are so doomed, Mommy. Robbie murmured. Doomed.